The quiet whisper of later is stealing your never. It's a subtle thief, isn't it? It promises rest, offers a momentary reprieve, but leaves behind a trail of unfulfilled dreams and a quiet, gnawing sense of regret. We stand at the precipice of our God-given potential, yearning to step into the fullness of who we are called to be, yet often find ourselves paralyzed by the very excuses we construct, brick by careful brick. But what if I told you that the key to unlocking an unstoppable, spirit-led life isn't found in a sudden surge of motivation or in waiting for perfect circumstances to align? What if the profound transformation you long for begins with the consistent, often uncomfortable daily choices you make, empowered by a discipline that draws its strength directly from the divine? Today, we're going to dismantle those excuses, not with a burst of temporary enthusiasm, but with the quiet, unwavering power of intentional, daily discipline, forging a path to a life that truly honors God and realizes your deepest, most sacred aspirations. This isn't just about doing more. It's about becoming more, a vessel truly prepared for His purpose. The truth is, many of us, much like Sarah, a devout woman in her late 40s who served faithfully in her church, find ourselves caught in a cycle. Sarah would start each week with grand intentions, a new prayer discipline, a commitment to visit the elderly, a plan to organize her home. Yet by Tuesday, the too tireds and "I'll do it tomorrows" would creep in, leaving her feeling perpetually behind, a quiet shame settling in her heart. She'd rationalize, telling herself God understood her busy schedule or that her intentions were good enough. But deep down, a sense of unfulfilled purpose lingered, a quiet ache that she wasn't truly living out the calling she felt God had placed on her life. This isn't about condemnation. It's about honest self-diagnosis. We often mistake fleeting motivation for sustainable fuel, and when that motivation inevitably wanes, we blame external circumstances or our own perceived inadequacy. But the real barrier isn't a lack of desire. It's the insidious habit of excusing ourselves from the very disciplines that would build the spiritual and practical muscle we need. It's time to admit that the most formidable opponent we face isn't out there, but often within, cloaked in the guise of valid reasons. What if the very act of excusing yourself from a small daily commitment is a spiritual act of self-sabotage, subtly eroding your trust in your own capacity and ultimately your trust in God's power working through you? We're going to explore how to reverse this, not by wishing for more willpower, but by building a framework of consistent, spirit-infused habits. If this message resonates with you, if you're ready to break free from the cycle of good intentions and missed opportunities, consider joining this community. We're building something special here, a place where we journey together, sharing our struggles and triumphs, and learning to walk in the unwavering discipline God calls us to. Leave a comment below with one excuse you're ready to conquer this week, and let's encourage each other. One of the most common obstacles we face, much like Sarah did, is the feeling of being perpetually reactive, always catching up, never truly ahead. For Sarah, her mornings often began in a haze of hitting the snooze button, grabbing her phone, and immediately being pulled into the demands of the world. Emails, social media, news. By the time she finally dragged herself out of bed, she already felt behind, her day dictated by external notifications rather than internal purpose. This reactive start often set the tone for a day filled with procrastination, where even small tasks felt monumental. The principle of overcoming this is mastering the morning, not just physically but spiritually. It's about winning the first battle of the day, before the world has a chance to tell you who you are or what you should be doing. Imagine waking up before the sun, not because you have to, but because you choose to. And before your fingers even touch that phone, you do one hard thing. It could be a short, intense prayer, a few minutes of scripture reading, or even a quick set of push-ups. This isn't about legalism. It's about building immediate self-mastery. It's about telling yourself and God that you are in control of your intentions, not your impulses. Sarah started small, setting her alarm just 15 minutes earlier. and instead of checking her phone, she'd spend those minutes in quiet prayer, intentionally offering her day to God. The first few days were a struggle, but within a week, she noticed a subtle shift. That initial act of self-discipline, that small victory before the world intervened, began to ripple outward, giving her a quiet confidence that she could face whatever the day held. She wasn't just waking up, she was waking up to her purpose. Another significant hurdle is the sheer chaos that can engulf our days, leaving us feeling scattered and unproductive, despite our best efforts. We might have big dreams, noble intentions, but without a clear roadmap, we drift, constantly putting out fires instead of building something lasting. Sarah often found herself overwhelmed by the sheer volume of tasks, bouncing from one urgent demand to another, only to realize at the end of the day that her most important goals had been neglected. The surprising revelation here is that intentional planning isn't just a corporate strategy. It is a profound act of spiritual stewardship and faith. Many Christians mistakenly believe that being spirit-led means flowing spontaneously, without structure. But consider the meticulous planning God put into creation, or the detailed instructions given for the tabernacle. Planning is an act of trust, believing that God has given you time and resources, and that using them wisely honors Him. It's saying, God, I value the gift of this day, and I want to use it for your glory. The practical application is deceptively simple. Every single night before you go to bed, take 15 minutes to plan your next day. Write down your top 3 priorities, the must-dos that align with your deepest goals and God's calling for you. This isn't just a to-do list. It's a commitment to purposeful action. By planning the night before, you eliminate the morning chaos, allowing your subconscious to begin working on solutions while you sleep. Sarah resisted this at first, thinking it too rigid, but as she started doing it, she found her days transformed. She no longer woke up feeling lost. She woke up with a clear purpose, a sense of direction, and a quiet confidence that she was moving forward. It was a revelation. Planning wasn't about control. It was about releasing control to God by faithfully stewarding the time He had given her, turning her days from reactive sprints into intentional, spirit-guided journeys. This brings us to a crucial turning point, a profound spiritual principle that underpins all true transformation: radical self-honesty. We are often masters of self-deception, crafting intricate narratives to justify our inaction, to excuse our laziness, or to sugarcoat our failures. For Sarah, this meant telling herself she was just tired, when in truth, she was avoiding an uncomfortable conversation or claiming to be too busy when she was simply procrastinating on a task that felt overwhelming. The central biblical truth here is that God desires truth in our innermost being, Psalm 51:6. He doesn't need us to pretend. He calls us to a raw, unvarnished honesty with ourselves, which is the gateway to genuine repentance and growth. This isn't about self-condemnation, but about courageous self-examination. James 1:22-24 warns against being merely hearers of the word and not doers, likening it to someone who looks in a mirror, sees their reflection, and immediately forgets what they look like. Radical self-honesty is about looking in that mirror, acknowledging what you see, and then taking action. The transformation interiorly begins when you commit to tracking and fixing one excuse daily. When you feel that familiar pull of laziness or procrastination, don't just give in. Instead, speak truthfully to yourself. Why am I really avoiding this? What fear or discomfort am I trying to escape? And keep a simple journal, not just of your wins, but also your losses, your excuses, and the insights you gain. This journal becomes a powerful tool for self-awareness, allowing you to see patterns, celebrate progress, and learn from every stumble. It's a sacred space where you confront yourself in the presence of God, allowing His light to expose the hidden corners of your heart, not to shame you, but to set you free. This shift from self-deception to radical honesty is the true spiritual turning point, transforming you from someone who avoids truth to someone who embraces it, and in doing so embraces the path to true freedom. With this new perspective, Sarah began to see commitment not as a burden, but as a profound spiritual discipline, a foundational act of worship. She realized that her previous pattern of starting projects with enthusiasm, but rarely finishing them, wasn't just unproductive. It was subtly eroding her self-trust and her sense of integrity. She was breaking promises to herself and, in a deeper sense, to God. This new perspective shifted her focus from merely doing tasks to building character. Paul, in 1 Corinthians 9:27, speaks of disciplining his body and making it his slave, lest, after preaching to others, he himself should be disqualified. This isn't about harshness, but about cultivating a spirit of unwavering commitment in all areas of life. Sarah witnessed a powerful testimony in her own life when she decided to finish a long-stalled project, creating a church directory. For months, it sat half-done, an emblem of her procrastination. But applying her new commitment, she dedicated just 30 minutes each day, no matter how tired she felt. It wasn't glorious, it wasn't fast, but she finished it. The sense of accomplishment wasn't just about the directory. It was about rebuilding her inner fortress of self-trust. The application expands far beyond just finishing projects. It means taking full responsibility for everything within your control, refusing to blame circumstances or others. It means committing to finishing what you start, not for external praise, but to build that internal integrity. And perhaps most powerfully, it means moving your body daily. This isn't merely about physical health. It's a foundational act of discipline that strengthens your willpower across all life areas. When you commit to a daily walk, a simple stretch, or a few minutes of exercise, you are training your mind and spirit to follow through, even when it's uncomfortable. This commitment to small, consistent acts of physical discipline spills over into your spiritual life, your relationships, and your work, creating a powerful ripple effect that transforms your entire being. So, where do we begin this journey of transformation, moving from a life of excuses to one of unstoppable, spirit-led discipline? The path is not complex, but it demands consistency and courage. First, embrace the mastery of your morning. Set your alarm just 15 minutes earlier and use those precious minutes for intentional prayer or a quiet, hard thing before your phone even enters the picture. This small victory sets the tone for your entire day, reminding you that you are in charge of your intentions, not your impulses. Second, adopt intentional planning as a spiritual practice. Each night, before you lay your head down, take a few moments to outline your top 3 priorities for the next day. This isn't about micromanaging. It's about honoring the gift of time God has given you and ensuring your actions align with your purpose. Third, commit to radical self-honesty. Keep a simple journal, not just of your successes, but of your excuses and the underlying fears they reveal. When laziness whispers, ask yourself, what am I truly avoiding? This courageous self-reflection is the pathway to authentic growth and spiritual freedom. Finally, cultivate unwavering commitment. Take full responsibility for what is within your control and finish what you start, no matter how small the task. And crucially, move your body daily. Whether it's a quick walk around the block or a few minutes of stretching, this physical discipline builds your spiritual muscle, strengthening your willpower in every area of your life. Imagine a renewed vision for your life, where you are no longer tossed by the winds of fleeting motivation or paralyzed by the chains of excuses. Instead, you are a vessel of purpose, consistently moving forward, not just with enthusiasm, but with a deep, abiding discipline rooted in faith and self-respect. This is an invitation to change, not just your habits, but your very identity. As we consolidate this journey, remember that the transformation we've discussed isn't a destination. It's a continuous path, a daily walk with God. The disciplined life isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about showing up, even when you don't feel like it, trusting that each small, consistent act of obedience is building something profound within you. Think of Sarah, who once felt overwhelmed by her own internal resistance. Through mastering her mornings, intentional planning, radical self-honesty, and unwavering commitment, she didn't just get more done, she became more. She transformed from a woman perpetually chasing her tail to one who walked with quiet confidence, whose life was a testament to God's empowering grace. Her identity shifted from reactive to intentional, from one held captive by excuses to one liberated by Spirit-led discipline. This is the vision of your future, a life where your actions align with your deepest convictions, where your potential is unleashed, and where you honor God not just with your intentions, but with your consistent, disciplined walk. You are not meant to be a slave to your impulses, but a master of your God-given potential. The journey isn't always comfortable, but it is always worth it. If this message has stirred something within your spirit, if you find yourself longing for this kind of transformation, I invite you to take a moment. Share your story in the comments below. What is one habit you're committed to starting or refining this week? Let's uplift and encourage one another as we step into the fullness of who God has called us to be. Your journey of unstoppable discipline begins now, one intentional step at a time.